Thank you, organizers and sponsors, for this wonderful opportunity, and thank you, panelists, for being here. Uh, I would like to start with a comment on this event and all the thought-provoking discussions that are happening today since morning. All these are happening at a very critical point in time. I say critical because of two major reasons. One is we are just few days into a new year in 2020, and which also means that we are just beginning a new decade. Uh, and we know that the 2020s is not going to be as same as how the decades pass by. And we have seen different technological and market disruptions taking over every segments, maybe automotive or even off-highway as well. And so all these changes are creating new expectations, new anticipations among the industry players as well as among customers as well. So it's a really critical point in time. On the other hand, we are right now at a major economic slowdown, which is impacting both automotive as well as the off-highway segments, and we have to, put our heads together to discuss, to make sure that the industry comes out of it back in track towards a momentum of growth towards the $5 trillion economy dream. In this regard, I would like to bring in the aftermarket segment as such. The aftermarket segment in itself, may it be automotive or off-highway, is a very different and an intricate business space. Just because of the fact that aftermarket so far, or say in the past, it's only in the last 5 years or so that we see aftermarket in a broad daylight. Otherwise, the aftermarket activities were always considered as something secondary, and it used to operate only in the oblivion. And now with many new players coming in, a multitude of services are being offered as an entire package of aftermarket. And we also find a lot of OEMs, trying to claw back certain market share in aftermarket, and also trying to standardize aftermarket as a major share of revenue, a kind of a reliable revenue stream for OEMs as well. So it's only now the industry has realized that aftermarket is not an afterthought. What I mean by that is aftermarket is not secondary to the principal businesses or business models that exist in an industry. So aftermarket is also now being integrated into the industry as a major business arena. If I have to put all these things in perspective, aftermarket is undergoing a great level of liberalization of market, which means we see many new players and new service providers coming in as part of aftermarket businesses. And we also see rapid change in technologies. And also we see major shifts in consumer behavior and their own business models. So all these three major mega trends are impacting aftermarket, and I would like to discuss or just to understand how these things will pan out. We are talking lots and lots of abstract and generalized developments. We are talking about technology development. We are talking about stringent emission standards, telematics, connected technologies. So when we take all these developments and keep it side by side, how all these are going to pan out in the industry, more so in the aftermarket. So I feel like our panel is a very diverse panel. We have people from representing different sub-segments in the industry. I think they can probably help all of us in contextualizing all these abstract developments and abstract megatrends that we always discuss, trying to contextualize all those things in real terms. So I would like to start with each of the panelists. I want your views or just a brief account of what you actually expect will happen in this decade, in 2020s. We know that it's not going to be the same as how the previous decade was. And in the previous decade, we had normal cell phones, and right now, normal cell phones don't exist at all. We have multi application cell phones or something. And nobody would have thought about connected technologies taking up construction equipments and off-highway segments to these level. In last year, Bauma Munich show, we could see the only talks were about electrification, automation, and connected technologies. So these are something very new. We have not seen this before. So in the next 10 years, how things are going to come out, your own personal anticipations or how you see the trends coming up. I would probably start with Mr. Amit.
Good afternoon, everyone. I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be a panelist among such senior and veteran people of the industry. On the off-highway aftermarket, I personally feel that this is going to be a total transition with the, like Mr. Tyagarajan said just now, about the Munich show, electrification, vehicle intelligence, telematics, hybridization. Yes, these are dreams, but definitely these are also the need of the hour. Okay, electrification and hybridization might take some time, but definitely the vehicle intelligence or the connected vehicle should be the in thing today, because for me, it starts from the basic safety of the operator to the optimization, optimal use of the equipment, and to track the vehicle performance in terms of service. This is how I would want the forum to start with.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, everybody, and the organizer for this opportunity. We feel a lot of digitalization will happen where, like, previously a lot of trainings, another thing I'm just adding to him, a lot of trainings will take place virtually. Your services will be done with more focus on TCO, as customers are now focusing more on TCO. And the next generation customers, previously, there was a thought process, only cost consciousness. But those customers, next generation is coming, and they are well informed, well traveled, well educated. So they are they are more focused on their ROIs. And with connected vehicles, 5G coming in the next decade, I think digitalization will be the key for this. You can highlight.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, CVF Off Highway and everyone here. Thank you, CVF Highway, for giving me an opportunity to speak something more about aftermarket. I am Satyan Sachdeva from SERA, Construction Equipment Rental Association of India. And I am also MD of Equipment Planet, which is a leading rental equipment company. And in SERA, we represent all the rental companies across India. We are a national association, and we are growing very fast. So there's a need of standardization and a lot of other things we are doing in relation to taxes and recovery issues. And there are very issues. I mean, many of the issues what we are facing is more about recovery issues, and then taxation part, there are a lot of issues. We'll be talking more about it. But aftermarket, if you really talk about aftermarket, rental companies playing a vital role in aftermarket, because we are the one who is the sole equipment suppliers, We give it on rent, and the entire bread and butter is equipment only for us. So we are the ones wherein we are seeking more help from the organized sector. And I'm the one who is representing this unorganized sector, like people were talking earlier. So we want organized player to help this unorganized sector to make little more organized. As if now, as per the statistics in India, the rental penetration is very low. It is somewhere around 7 to 8%, which is really low in the industry. I mean, as compared to, other countries. We are still, sitting on 7 to 8%, wherein other countries are already, they're over 30% or 50% or 60%. So we need to grow more. And I think in the next 10 years, we'll be growing on a very rapid pace. I think enough of the sluggishness and slowdowns and, all those stuff, I think we're going to recover now soon. And with the kind of, relationship, we always talk about the relationship part, wherein all the manufacturers, rental companies, finances has to come together on one single platform. And we should all be working together. So the strengthening of the relationship is more important. So this is what it is all about, and we'll be sharing more insights on this, for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, dear. Over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Satyan. Good afternoon, everybody. So from the aftermarket perspective, of course, we had some expert introduction. I would just give some thoughts from the OEM perspective. So in the past decades, we have been witnessing like aftermarket to start with like 10 years before was always focusing on just, okay, sell a machine, go service it. But over the last 5 years, we have been witnessing a change in attitude, change in approach. So aftermarket is not now being considered as just servicing a machine what somebody has sold. It's more in adding value, building the life cycle of whatever we have sold, and prove a point to the investor who has invested in that machine or the equipment, whatever we supply, that's going to be the source for him on a longer term, justifying a better rate of returns of investment. So the aftermarket has started focusing more on those areas rather than just going servicing the equipment, putting it back to the operation. So and in the next 10 years or even the time to come, we are going to focus, and we foresee more value addition as a OEM into this area of operation, which will also move towards, refurbishments, remanufacturing, because not just new equipment alone is going to make us survive, especially in a country like ours, where we have a complex situation and a mix of profile of buyers. So we will discuss more in detail in the coming time.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Raisangani.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is B.V. Raisangani. I am a chartered mechanical engineer and have got 45 years professional experience. I started my career as a maintenance engineer and had an opportunity to use first time the 90 CK electric version of the Pokelane in 79. Then had an opportunity to use the first 300 CK Pokelane developed by the Larsen Tubro. Then had an opportunity to use the first time the boomers developed by the Atlas Copco for underground applications, compressors, and articulated dump trucks for the construction and mining applications. Had an opportunity to use the 15.6 meter width meter pavers for the construction of the Yamuna Expressway project. My experience spreads across the construction of big river valley hydroelectric projects, mining sector, limestone mining, coal mining, underground open cast, road sector, multi-story building construction, hotel construction, hospital construction, golf resort, Formula One track, fertilizer sector. During the professional journey, I have provided manufacturers a feedback for development of the equipment to address problems related to the after-sales support services. And now, after retirement, I am working as an advisor to various companies conducting the execution audits and equipment audits and conducting seminars on the energy conservation, environment protection, and technological development. Now, after market it has grown to a maturity level. I think next 10 years provide tremendous opportunities to the equipment manufacturers, renting companies, project executors in the infrastructure sector and mining sector to make a better India. We have to take an example from the Japan. For 2020 Olympics preparation, they have completed all their works 1 year ahead of the schedule. If we compare it with our Commonwealth Game, we can understand the difference in the adoption of the technology. I think next 10 years are the big opportunities for the manufacturers and renting companies. Manufacturers have spent a lot on development of the technology, but there is a resistance to accept and adopt that technology by the project execution managers because a particular mindset. So that mindset is to be broken. Key role is to be played by the renting companies in making aware the project owners, contracting companies, and that latest technology is available which can be provided through the renting companies. Now, at present, the contracts, latest technology is available in China. Most of the road projects, soil stabilizers have been used. This fact is accepted by everyone that by use of the soil stabilizer, there is a reduction in the execution time. There is a reduction in the cost. It's a green technology. But there is a resistance of the acceptance because the contract doesn't provide that. Contractual limitation and sometimes the project management limitations. So these all things we will discuss during course of our interaction. I would request all the audience members to participate interactively and inform us their expectations, that what they expect for after market and what solutions they are expecting, what is the gap between their expectations and from the manufacturer side, service provider sides. So those communications gaps can be eliminated, service providers can improvise, manufacturers can improvise. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, sir. So as I understand from the panelists, now we obviously we know that certain new products and new technologies are going to come up. New services are being pitched in for the aftermarket. Now, my question to panelists again, probably I guess Satyan sir can start with it. So with new products and technologies coming in, we have to prepare our industry so that we can service those new products and new technologies in the years to come, right? So which means that preparation has to start simultaneously as when the new products and technologies come up. So how prepared or how ready is Indian aftermarket? You, since you represent lots and lots of equipment operators and owners, how do you see the industry? You have great interaction with the aftermarket industry as such. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think this is more about the training part. You know, the skill manpower is more important. I mean, it is as if now is the biggest pain of the industry that the skilled manpower is not there. And the things are not picking up in the right pace as we need lot of skill development, more of skill development of operators and mechanics as well as electricians and welders and everyone. This is required because for any change we need to start with the, you know, skilling of that. So the number one pain, what I feel is the skill manpower. We should all be working together for it. And thanks to all the manufacturers, they are coming up in a very big way. I personally visited many of the factories, plants of various manufacturers. I just don't want to name them, but all of them are doing great. And everybody has now owned, those training centers, and on a very reasonable prices, they're offering the services to all the rental companies. They are extending their support to all the industries, contractors, everyone. So I think we should focusing more and more on skill development part. Secondly, the another part is the technology, because we need to, go for the better fuel efficiency, and we need to put up those, the navigations and then the fuel sensors and other things, so that, because at the site, what I personally feel that operator is, he's the owner of the equipment, not us. The real owners are not the real owners. The operator there, or the manpower, or the supervisor, he's main hero there. So talking about that, I think more of the knowledge, we should be gaining more knowledge about the telematics. People are talking about the artificial intelligence kind of a thing. So we should be doing more of these events. Thanks again to CVF Off Highway for conducting this. And a lot of interaction has to be there. And then the third is, again, the relationship part, that all the manufacturers, all the rental companies, contractors, infrastructure companies should come together. And this is what SERA, Construction Equipment Rental Association of India, is doing, to bringing all at one single platform. Let us all grow together, and let us take aftermarket, which is more important, aftermarket, because the subject is aftermarket. Aftermarket support, like this is, we are also looking for good on-site service. We should be having more of service vans, which we usually see abroad. We would like, there's not even a single service van I've ever seen in the past 2 years. So in India, we need to have all those, good service vans, good tool room facilities. I think more of polytechniques and more of, all these things are required. Education is really important. Yeah, this is what I think. Yeah.
I mean, like, as you were saying, like, there is a focus more on services rather than just products.
Absolutely. Service is more important rather than product shipment. Let us make it to servicing, because service is the base. I mean, this is what I feel.
Right. So I'll just come to that in a little while. I just want to listen to Rahul and Tyagarajan sir, just to understand how OEMs are prepared enough to handle these different aftermarket challenges for the upcoming years. So as I ask this question because now we see lots and lots of OEMs taking up massive efforts to make sure that aftermarket is also a part of a reliable stream of revenue for them. So now you also see lots of local teams, service teams being dispatched on different customers, even at remote places. So how are OEMs, what are OEM strategies in this regard?
OEMs are offering, lot of OEMs are going with AMC contracts, so that my customer can focus on his core businesses, and while the other part is taken care by the manufacturers. OEMs are investing in their skill development, as what he said, requirement is there. We do understand, because there is a lot of disruption. So no matter whatever skill set is required, we have to upgrade the skill set. With AMC, OEMs have, their revenue is also fixed. And for the customer also, his cost is also fixed. So AMC is a solution, and after that, because what we have observed, after warranty and other thing, most of the customers, rental companies, they go for outsourced one. Yes. Maybe the revenue is lost for the OEMs also. So AMC is a good solution for that way.
Right. So your views on that?
Yeah, I resonate the points which Rahul was saying. But yes, while AMCs are something which many companies are already practicing, but they are practicing it in certain segment, identified segment, I would say, like mining or large infrastructure contracts where their presence can be permanent. So this definitely gives a comfort level to the investor or the owner, so that he can focus on his core activity and not to bother about what the machine is and whether it's available, or because everything is built into that project. So for him, the machine is available for the entire period of the contract. Something goes wrong, it's going to be the manufacturer's or the OEM, the IMC provider's issue. So what we are assuring as a manufacturer is, okay, your project is taken care, you don't need to worry. So that's something which is already in practice. One step further, what the industry, we are slowly trying to see in that, and as well as the skill development, is to build that from a base, like, a lot of ITI and diploma institutes are offering courses for many factory-oriented things like welding and all those stuff. But for machine operation, it's really not in a big way or pretty unheard of in across the country. So we are now trying to work with few universities where we want to start building this right from that level. And we want to give a booster to those students that machine operation is not anyway a demeaning job, because it's actually a sort of mindset change has to come there, because the challenges are pretty high in doing a machine operation. It's not like going to the factory and coming back. You have to go to the site, you may have to work night and day. And so we are trying to inculcate that. We are now working with the university. So that's something which we are visualizing will be a trend set to go ahead with the skill development. Government has also put in a lot of with this national skill development cell. So we are now the next step. We will be planning to work with them. So that's something which as a OEM we are trying to see how to build that.
Sir, ye dil mange more. So this is what I want to say. Industry is looking forward for more, cooperation from all the manufacturers, OEMs, and everyone. Understand that we are working on a very low margins.
Yes.
Very low margins. We are working on a very low margins. So try to come out with something wherein you will be offering more support, maybe more discounting on the spare parts also, because aftermarket is all about the spare parts and a lot of other service-related things. So, and we've been observing that this aftermarket support is, I don't know, somewhere it is lacking with some of the manufacturers. I, again, just don't want to name those manufacturers, but need to push a little more about it. This margins are really low. If I'm not wrong, we've been discussing it just in our back, that we are working on the lowest margin in the world. You check out the rentals all across the world. We are whatever we are working. I mean, we are the cheapest of all in the world as compared to all the European countries, American countries. Wherever you go, we are the cheapest. So we need more support from all the OEMs. We have the best of the pillars here with us. Thank you.
Most of the manufacturers are offering annual maintenance contracts, but I think they are very rigid annual maintenance contracts, and cost in most of the cases are very high. So most of the times, only 30 or 40% people, contractors are able to accept. If manufacturers can provide flexibility in that, allow end user to only procure property nature items from them and allow non-property nature items sourcing from as per their specification, for instance, the ground engaging tools, etc., from other sources which don't directly affect their equipment performance, then acceptance of the annual maintenance contracts, their cost will substantially reduce, and end user would be able to derive a very good advantage out of that. So that manufacturers have to consider. Otherwise, because of the high cost, most of the times, particularly subcontractors, they don't go for the, and even they do not go for the EMC contracts. Even they do not bother about the maintenance intervals. They do not bother about the filters, replacement of the periodic replacement of the filters, oil cost. Most of the times there is a neglect on that. So how to reduce that neglect, and how to see that their equipment perform to the best possible optimum level. So manufacturers have to see how we can plug all these requirements so that end user can operate his machine at a competitive operating cost.
I presume that since, as you said, that rental companies operate on very low margin, I guess like even OEMs will also make the same climb, right? So, yeah. So I think it's a very intricate kind of situation. I would like to, yes, you would like to add something?
No, no.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Little selfish,
Okay. Yeah. So I would like to ask Mr. Ahmed, as we have seen in the last 5 years that we have seen lots and lots of Chinese companies, brands have entered in the market. I think year on year, every Bauma or Expos, like we see new OEMs coming in. And they offer really good products at very competitive prices than the traditional players. And in general, also we see as someone was saying, like the engines are becoming more and more complex, like with the integration of electronics, with an imminent uh, emission norms coming up later this year. So the engines will become even more complex. So for these kind of, at one hand, you find multiple OEMs having specialized different products. You also have engines and technologies becoming more complex. How difficult or how challenging it is for the aftermarket to tackle this kind of a situation? Let me rephrase it this way, like how prepared should the aftermarket be in both these regards?
It is a very difficult situation for rental companies or large fleets to operate in such situations, where, like generally in India, in our country, once the warranty is over, the AMCs are not renewed and they generally want to go go back to their own. Like over a period of time, these rental companies and fleet companies have developed their own competence for servicing these vehicles. But yet again, we need to understand that the technicians which are available to handle the multi-brand situation over here is very, very complex. It is not like a fleet or a rental agency or rental company has got vehicles from different OEMs or different applications. So they need to understand, like, are they in a real good situation to handle the application specific or the vehicle specific situation? It is not possible for everybody to learn everything. There are hindrances or like when you speak about the Chinese, like Chinese might come up with giving you a very good price, but you ultimately at the end of the day you also need to understand that these off-highway equipments or vehicles are low volume. Okay, so will the Chinese company really invest in service and spares over here in our country? Will you be able to procure the parts? Will you be able to get the right service? Will you be able to get the right training? Is it just the price that uh, customer wants to look at? Like, is it only cost of the equipment? But I think today what we understand from my other panelists also, like, it is just not the cost of the vehicle, it is the cost of operation and the, I would, to cut it short, I would put it one word, or vehicle uptime is the key. Vehicle uptime is the most important thing for any equipment buyer to look at. Like this, all these equipments which are bought are specific to an application or specific to a purpose, specific to a project, specific to a tender. These are all time-bound projects. And if the vehicle is not up in time and it's always out for waiting for service or waiting for spare parts, then there is no fun in buying a Chinese equipment. These equipment should be bought from OEMs who have global presence, who have an understanding about the technology, service, support, and are able to give you solutions when they are required.
Actually, many of those OEMs, Chinese OEMs that I refer, have a pretty global presence, right?
Like I said, global presence is the key. There are Chinese players also who have got good global presence. Not every Chinese company is bad.
Right.
So I think companies with global presence with technology is the key thing.
Okay. So, I've already got a reminder for the Q&A session. Just to kind of last question for all the panelists here. since there is a massive subdued demand for new machines exist in the market in the last 1 year, uh, that is a good time for aftermarket, right? Because the
OEMs
vehicle
must,
park.
OEMs must be enjoying now.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
are
I
right.
mean, because the existing park of machines needs to be serviced, they will need more and more replacement space. So how is
Ye-
that coming up? And probably you can give your end notes with what are the major way challenges or the way out of these challenges
Sure.
for the aftermarket industry.
So while the current sorry situation really hurts us as a OEM, but we also feel this is a time for us to consolidate ourselves in terms of all the other activities, primarily focusing on the aftermarket. So what as a OEM we are also gearing up is one is we are trying to leverage. See, we are seeing India as opportunity even for the used and refurbished machine markets. Not only in my industry, I'm seeing across the industry, both construction, material handling. So we are now, so that is one thing which we add value to our existing product in terms of technology, which also answers a question how you mitigate some of the low cost competition. So the time to come, that will be one area where as OEM we will be focusing, refurbishing the old machine and bringing it to a standard with the current parts. So that way the parts utilization also goes up and the customer who is investing on those machines also realizes the value of the OE parts. And not to, this is, we are also seeing, the 10 years old machine from US and Europe, which we refurbish and sell, fetches me as good as or slightly higher than a brand new low cost machine from outside. So that's the kind of value what we build in the equipment and which trend will continue. And I'm sure everybody catches up with a similar kind of competition activity. So that means it's a challenge on a day-to-day basis. So to end the next 10 years, what we are seeing is this trend will continue with the mixed bag what we have across the country. And so from the aftermarket, the focus will be not just on servicing, but on getting into this refurb, reman activities and to provide value to the customer so that he invests on the machine and his core activity and
Even
rest.
after market bounces back and in full swing?
Yes, because that's going to be our platform to stay ever. Because market bouncing back and again focusing only on the machine, when the cycle comes back, we are going to be in trouble. So it's like that activity will always remain. This is going to be our parallel activity so that whenever this cycle comes down, this is something which will keep us going because at any point of time, the existing machines will keep working. So we need to be geared up for taking care of that. So that focus will never go off. That will always remain for us.
Mr.
To actually, I just wanted to say, like previously, sales used to be considered to be, the backbone of the company, but the situations have changed now. Aftermarket used to be a taboo. Like people in aftermarket team used to, feel low or subdued. But today, aftermarket is no more a taboo. It is, it is the most important function of any company. Rather, I would say that it is the revenue earning or the aftermarket today is basically making brand for the company. It is no more the sales or marketing function which actually makes the brand of the company.
Right. Mr. Rahul, your closing remarks.
In future, what I feel is like aftermarket will get more organized because previously, the unorganized market was working basically because of lower technology. Now the technology is getting upgraded and other things. So aftermarket will get more organized and maybe multi-brand things will start in India also, which is the norm globally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. One last thing. I mean, when we talk about the equipment, let me give you an example. Like we always go for a backhoe loader for many of the, jobs. So there is a paradigm shift now. What we rental companies are also doing, what we are planning is to bring all those specialized equipments. If we can do a job with a 3 cubic of transit mixer, why should we be going for an upper capacity or a 6 cubic concrete mixer when we can do it with a mini excavator? Why should we be going for a backhoe loader? So there are a lot of new specialized equipments which we are bringing in, And we are offering you to all of us. The entire rental fraternity is here for us, for everyone. The industry is open, and we'll surely be growing it together. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, each one of you.
Mr. Rajan, you're close.
Actually, if we see internationally, I had an opportunity to visit South Africa. There, in underground coal mines, they for last 5 years continuously, they were able to achieve zero loss of the manpower, zero accident, because of the adoption of the comprehensive annual maintenance contract in the underground coal mines, which is very, very difficult operation. In India, manufacturers have to work towards these, taking clue from that, how can ensure they to customer that because of their machine deployment, there would be zero loss of the machine hours, zero loss of the manpower hours. Actually, failure occurs when there is a major breakdown and manufacturers do not have the replacement components at a nearest site. They take more than 2 weeks or even sometimes months together to give a replacement for a hydraulic pump, a hydraulic cylinder, or even the analysis. Now the machines are equipped with the electronics. I had a recent application where a black smoke coming from generator took service engineer 21 days to analyze and correct, and customer has to deploy a renting generating set. So these gaps manufacturers have to address, providing of the major components within to make available to customer within 48 hours, and to train the manpower so they are able to diagnose the problem. Machines technology is upgrading daily. Even sometimes there is a difficulty in identification of parts, etc., which takes a lot of time in repairs. So manufacturers have to understand the customer's need and see how they can inspire confidence and work towards that they can achieve a zero breakdown hours. That would be a big achievement. Thank you.
Right. So before I close, before I open the session for audience discussion, I just have two remarks. Like one is that the machines that are to be introduced in the market, they're going to be way more specialized and way more complex. So which means to cater to those specialized equipments and tech-savvy products, I think the aftermarket has to get ready. I guess it's not. I guess the onus is not only on the OEMs, but also other players, aftermarket suppliers. I think they should also come up to support, create an ecosystem so that a new generation of machines can also be serviced, and like only like OEM supported service or something. I think considering the volumes and numbers, I think that's very important.
So that there will be no jugaad, you know what we Indians is all, you know, famous about jugaad. So let us make it shift over to OEMs and manufacturers, you know, so that they'll be offering you the best of the services and best of the discounts.
Right. All right. Thank you. So this floor is open for discussion now. Questions? Yes.
I'm Shanmugha Sundaram from Cyclops System. Thanks to the team for giving up mind-opening ideas and questions. We talk about smart cities, but it's time to talk about smart vehicles, right? Whether the manufacturers are ready to bring in the latest technology, integrating IoT and cloud as an OEM, or are they hesitant because of the cost additions? We have brains to develop equivalent to North Korea or South Korea or Taiwanese or even China. If we are leading in that area, we can definitely conquer the world market, but only when the manufacturers are ready to implement as OEM. Now we are talking about the aftermarket only. why we can't bring it as an OEM so that the vehicles will be smart vehicles. The owners will be having more data about the usage, about the driver's behavior. So many areas will be there. But whether are they hesitant to bring in or not? That's my question. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I can answer this. So, thank you for the question, sir. So, this smart data equipment are already available in the market, right? I mean, irrespective of category of the equipment. But yes, you are right. In terms of the cost perspective, that's why many manufacturers even today offer that as an option and not as a standard. Even the equipment what we manufacture, we have the smart system where right from your place, wherever you are seated, you will know what the machine is doing, where it is. This also includes the geofencing, so machine cannot move out of the place where it's deployed. And these are systems which are existing, and I'm sure even in many of the mines in India, the equipments are equipped with these kind of systems operated through some of the service providers locally. But yes, manufacturers, I'm sure, are ready to provide such systems. But right now it's option basically because, as you rightly said, the customers, for their capability to invest that, and not everybody are able to, because it's a complex structure. There are small timer, first timers. It would become difficult for them to understand and accept that. But as a OEM, I'm sure many OEMs are prepared to face that in the coming
I
future.
guess like the penetration is only limited to GPS location and
Right
fencing,
now,
right?
right now. No, not just GPS location and fencing. It also provides you the real-time data of what the equipment is, right from how many times you start, you stop, what is the fuel consumption, what kind of, in 1 hour of operation, what was your productive time. And we have in our equipment where the graph gives the customer like, okay, 10 minutes you worked on the machine, 10 minutes it was waiting for refueling, 10 minutes for just rattling. So it can monitor everything. So that helps you planning how you have to optimize your operation so that your cost of operation goes down.
Right. Mr. Rahul?
Yeah, telematics and other things are giving you a lot of data currently also. So, as I previously also said, digitalization, you'll have a lot of smart things like your driver habits. Even vehicles are giving you like, whether the driver is shifting your gears properly, your fuel consumptions, and whatever proactive things will come where maintenance, how better efficiently you can maintain your vehicle. So definitely manufacturers are working on that for that.
Any other?
We'll take just one last question, after which we break for lunch. So any questions?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jannat Wadhwa, representing the rental industry over here. Just wanted to check whether we have any technology or any process or with OEMs where providing that for O&M for large equipment like mining or crushing or something like that, so that the care of the machine and operations of the machine can be taken care of by the manufacturers itself, which is going to help the longer life, better productivity, and or some training of the operators, whatever. Are you working on that also? Thank you.
Are you talking about crusher plants?
All the equipments like large mining equipments or cranes or it is not viable for small equipments, but large equipments it is viable. So if OEMs provide O&M for this kind of equipments, that kind of technology, or trained operators and their team working on those equipments so that it works at their optimum level, the scheduled maintenance, periodic maintenance is done on time. Clients like Mr. Raisinghani said that they are not doing the periodic maintenance on time. So by doing this, they can improve the productivity as well as fuel consumption and their life of the equipment. Right?
Yeah. Shall I? So I know at least some of the coal mines like under Coal India subsidiary, when they purchase equipment like dumpers or those kind of the large size excavators, they do associate with something called maintenance and repair contracts. And they started with, I think, 3-5 years, and now it has gone as high as 7 to 11 years. So like, it's going to be the responsibility of the manufacturer to take care of the machine and give them upfront the working in terms of what's going to cost you for the next 7 years, 8 years, or whatever is the period they are getting into. So that also helps the owner who is going to invest that, and for him it's just he's going to pay the money and then everything is packaged for the manufacturer. He has to ensure availability of the machine, he has to ensure productivity, of course, all subject to whatever is the clauses. So that way, the return on investment and the core activity of the investor is going to be on at the back of his mind and not about what the equipment is. So, but yes, this is right now very, very limited activity and focused on few segments and large size operators. To get into the unorganized segment and a small time operator, this is where the manufacturers are working on that. The costing factor is something which we need to really get into. But yes, the packages are available and the mindset is definitely there. This is practically possible.
Yeah, what I feel is
Yes,
many of the...
digitized solutions are available to that extent. Even underground coal mines, you can watch live what is your scheduled production planning, how a particular equipment, continuous miner and other connected equipment are operating that time with reference to your schedule planning and actual, and all variables are fed into the software. For instance, they are able to judge the illumination level, water level, whatever is even operator's skill, and show you on graph the machine performance vis-a-vis required performance and actual performance and deviation reasons related to that. In crushing plant, batching plant, crane operations, digitized monitoring systems are available. Only these are not being provided as a default, but one has to go as an option through the manufacturer or through the other software developers. Solutions are available to whatever extent one wants them. They can, standard solutions are available which can further be tailor-made to suit individual customers' requirement. Thank you.
Yeah, many of the manufacturers are already offering it. I mean, the awareness, the kind of awareness is increasing like anything. And I think this is a message to an industry also. It should come in the future, it should come as a standard accessory to an equipment. Because this is utterly required, and this is wherein we've been talking about artificial intelligence, IoT, telematics, and so many other things. So I think many of the manufacturers are already into it. So we'll have to take care of the things, who is doing what. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. So after all these discussions, I'm sure all of you have built up a healthy appetite. We'll now take a lunch break of about an hour. Make the best use of this time, connect with your industry peers, and we meet again at 2:45 sharp. So the lunch is being served in the adjacent ballroom. Just proceed.
I thank all the panelists as well as audience.
Yes, thank you panelists. Thank you audience for being such a patient audience. Thank you so much.